So this is the first map of a best of 3. It's the semi-finals of Go for SC2 Monday, and spawning up to the top left-hand position, we have got the pink Zerg player representing Vega Squadron, DaNa. And his opponent, if my screen will move, is currently floating to the gold base, representing Team Acer, none other than MMA. So why would you float over to this gold base? There was a lot of lost mining time as the SCVs came across and the command center floated his way over there. Let me tell you, because gold bases give you big incomes. Look at it. It may not be skyrocketing yet, but it sure quickly will. It allows you to produce more, get a lot of aggression coming through, and generally can lead to an awful lot of excitement. So DaNa needs to identify this pretty quick, but thankfully the gold base is on the path of the Overlord. So the Overlord's going to be seeing this and be like, ah, you've spawned at the gold base. That incredibly annoying thing that Terran players sometimes do. What do you do off the back of this? Well, the answer's quite simple. You keep a good look at how many barracks they're making, because there could be an awful lot of Marines pumped out incredibly quickly. There can also be some nice plays involving some gas, but as we see, already a second barracks coming through. This basically middle income just starts skyrocketing fairly fast. DaNa doesn't need to panic yet. May need to look to get a spine cooler down at some point, maybe get a quicker baneling nest or maybe a rogue warren out, but generally speaking, if you defend against the push that will always come off of a gold base opening like this, you're good later on, because while the gold base does serve the benefit of actually having obviously more resources return per trip, it has the downside of having 2 less mineral patches and also getting mined out very, very quickly. What that means is that if you can't expand somewhere else, which can be a bit challenging if you're moving away from your main production center, it's a bit of a nuisance. Good play here by DaNa, pulling 2 additional drones with the 2 already here, just fending off this SCV. Does take a bit of an income hit because of it, but it's nothing drastic. The most important thing is it prevents the bunker coming down that would be incredibly hard to defend. MMA really going all for this now, pulling SCVs as well. Does DaNa realize? Yes. Pulling a lot more drones down, adding in that spine cooler ASAP. DaNa going to be trying to hold this as best as possible. Only 1 Marine there currently. The SCV pool going to be acting as a nice little tank line there. One SCV gets taken down. That's the first one on its way. 2 additional Marines about to join this force, plus some Zerglings coming in. MMA not going to get into much of a good position here, to be honest, because with these bunkers not completing, or potentially not completing, it gets very tough to try and make this push work, especially with drones coming from behind. They're going to get the surround. This is brilliant work by DaNa, able to just surround all of those SCVs, deal some great damage, and hasn't actually lost too many workers. Only 2 have died. The spine cooler is now finished, and this push does not do more. At least not for quite a while. MMA, on the other hand, lost 7 workers through doing this. A lot of lost mining time. And remember, spawned at the gold. The tech isn't there. The 2 gas is only just now getting taken. And DaNa's just like, hey, I've got my spine cooler up. I'm going to be producing drones. And this is all quite nice for me. But DaNa is not out the woods yet. Marines are still good units when there's a lot of them and it's early on in the game. Can't get too greedy or think that it's all over yet, because it really isn't. This is still quite a stressful situation for DaNa, and I'm glad to see this second spine cooler. Small groups of Marines aren't very good up against spines. They don't have the damage output to kill them off before the spine starts poking them all to death. So this is good planning by DaNa, adding in the gas as well now, but it's MMA who's going for the factory. A very funky game to start off this series. It's a lot of fun. And so far, DaNa is coming out on top. The income, despite the gold base being there, is still quite heavily in DaNa's favor, thanks to the much greater drone count. Those Lings don't really want to be trying to take that fight. That is not a nice trade for DaNa. But the spine coolers still will fend off this further plays. Factory, nearly finished up. MMA is mining an awful lot of gas now, so it's going to be able to produce potentially a starport very quickly in order to go for some drops to just completely maneuver around these spines, get up into the main. We're getting ourselves into what is an incredibly fun situation from all of these players really. This is just a much more unusual kind of setting. Do have the tech lab coming down on the factory, so tanks could very well be on the cards, and there's some nice places you can position tanks just to try and get some fun up. MMA though, he's just like, you know what, I'll contain you. You can have your 2 bases, because I have got a gold base, and I can safely now actually expand back to my own main and natural, if I hold you in that natural. Starport, also on its way. We've got a tech lab coming down on this barracks. Could very well get the old switcheroo going on there in order to get some Banshee production. But for the most part, this is just chilling, like, quite a fun game actually. I like the way this has started as a series. 10 roaches coming through though, and if they get out fairly soon, MMA could be running into a bit of a troubling spot. While there is a tank there and the 3 bunkers coming through, the spine can start trying to chip away at them, but ooh, in comes the barracks. This is quite nice. The tank going to be able to get the first few shots down. This spine will just have to back away, go to safety. The other spine though, slowly and steadily poking away. All the roaches now seen. MMA knows what he's going to have to be contending with. SCV's repairing up nicely. Tank sieges. Where are these roaches going to go? The roaches, potentially quite a few banelings. Now the baneling nest is finished up. Want to break this contain. It's kind of essential that they do it, because a 2-base Zerg is not a very threatening Zerg player. More spines, poking, prodding, chipping, chomping. Is it going to be enough? The 2 tanks in a good position. These roaches not defending well up against 2 tanks. The bunker count up at 3 still, all completely full. And MMA's doing a good job. Down come the roaches though. The baneling's stuck at the back. That is a bit more of a problem. Some of them actually detonate from those tank shots. The bunker's dealing a lot of damage, and MMA is looking strong. Shuts down the barracks in front of the bunker, and that may seem like an odd choice, but it closes up the distance, prevents banelings from as easily getting down here. 1 tank remains, a second one getting deposited thanks to the medevac. And this is very, very stressful right now for DaNa. Tries to back away that spine caller, but it's very low already. Does get taken down, and this is looking so good for MMA. Despite DaNa starting off with a beautiful defense early on, MMA just pumping far too much. And DaNa really on the ropes. Can these banelings make the difference? The detonations, not terrible, but the bunkers are still in position. The 2 tanks up. GG is called, and MMA takes game number 1 of this best of 3.